Karen was on her way to the cottage in Beaver, remembering the last visit 2 months ago, the day her husband Patrick and 9-year-old daughter Eleanor had disappeared. They had driven off down the same road in her husband's car and simply disappeared from sight. The approach to the cottage was left without a trace of their appearance. The police covered the whole neighborhood, but no news. They only found the car on the side of the road, not far from the cottage, but Patrick and Eleanor seemed to have vanished. Karen clearly remembered their last morning together. Even the rainy weather couldn't dampen their joy. It was their 10th wedding anniversary and the 10th birthday of their close-knit family. They were going to celebrate at the cottage with a delicious kebab, fireworks, and lots of presents. Karen had to make a quick run to work, so she was going to make a quick stop at the cottage, kiss her husband and daughter, taking a promise from them not to mess around on the road, and make a quick return. She quickly took care of business and headed toward Beaver. But suddenly she saw her husband's empty car on the side of the road, a couple of kilometers before the cottage village. Karen shouted, calling for Patrick and Eleanor, but only the echoes responded. So she drove to the cottage, but they were not there. Attempts to call were futile. The phones were unavailable. It was a terrible 2 months, filled with uncertainty and endless waiting. Constant police visits, sleepless nights, looks of sympathy from acquaintances. But Karen never gave up hope. There was confidence in her heart. She felt that her husband and daughter were alive. I knew they'd find them. Karen hadn't slept much the whole time, but tonight she had a strange dream. An old country house from the window of which Eleanor was waving at her, crying and calling silently. Karen rushes to her daughter, but something is holding her back. Suddenly she hears a quiet road. Karen woke up, sobbing with tears, but then she pulled herself together, and walked resolutely out of the house. She didn't know why, but she was sure she had to go to the cottage. It was still early morning, just as it had been 2 months ago. It was drizzling rain. There were few cars on the road. When Karen turned onto a secondary road, she was driving alone. Suddenly her car stalled. No matter how hard Karen tried to start it, it wouldn't start. Then she heard a low scream. Karen listened and recognized her daughter's voice. Forgetting about the car, she rushed running down the road. Eleanor didn't notice at first as a thick fog enveloped the road. For a while nothing could be seen, and when it cleared, Karen saw that right in front of her was someone's small wooden house. It was the house from her dream. Karen stopped abruptly and saw Eleanor and Patrick running out of it. She was crying and laughing. She was so happy that she didn't immediately ask her husband why they were here. Why weren't they coming home after all it had been 2 months? Patrick and Eleanor were surprised, for they had only been here for the 2nd day. Then Patrick told her that their car had also stalled and they had gone to the cottage village to get help. They knew the road shouldn't be long, but they got caught in a strange fog, got lost, and stumbled upon this mysterious house. They were going to ask the owners for directions, but when they entered, they found it empty. On the table was bread, water, and a note that read, "Payback." Patrick grabbed his daughter's hand. They went outside, trying to get back in, but ran into an invisible wall. In every way they tried to get out, but to no avail. There was an impenetrable wall around the house. Karen, not believing it, ran outside, but met an insurmountable obstacle. She realized it was real. After a thorough examination of the wall around the house, Karen, Patrick, and Eleanor sat tiredly at the table and agonized over the unanswerability of the riddles. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and an abused old woman in a black shawl entered. She looked at the assembled family and laughed hoarsely. "Here we are all gathered. How long have I waited for this, Michael?" Patrick looked at her in amazement and remembered. "Teresa. Wow, you remembered? Do you remember my daughter Tina? She adored you since she was a little girl, and you didn't even notice her when you went to town. She always dreamed of you. When I found out you were married, she threw herself off a cliff. She was barely rescued, but she never recovered. She's been sick all these years, and now she's dying. Did you kill her? You took my daughter from me and her love and life from her. I'm so sorry," Patrick said quietly. "I remember her. A beautiful, quiet girl, but we never even spoke once. And Karen and I dated for 5 years before we got married. I didn't notice other girls. I loved loving her so much. You had to have my daughter?" the old woman screamed. Today you'll understand what it's like to lose your child." And she added more calmly, "Listen to me carefully. I will now light a candle and give it to you. As long as it burns, the exit will be open and you can leave, but on the condition that it will be held by an innocent girl standing on the threshold of this house. Only your daughter can keep the exit open, and you can only leave without her. One more thing. When the candle is extinguished, all this will disappear with your daughter. But you can stay here together. Take your pick." The old woman laughed nastily. Then she took the candlestick with the poisoned candle, lit it, and put it on the table. She went to the door, put up a sign saying, "Farewell, lovebirds," and said, "Whatever you decide, it will be my pleasure. Hurry up, you don't have much time," and disappeared, vanishing into thin air. Everyone looked at the door in silence. This can't be happening. But how are we going to get out of here? Eleanor looked at Karen with burning eyes. "Are you leaving? Don't worry about me." Karen hugged her daughter tightly, took Patrick's hand and said firmly, "No, we'll stay together no matter what happens. We will not give up. It's all lies." Suddenly the door swung open again, and a graceful young woman burst into the room. "It's so good that I made it in time. I'll be able to help you," Patrick marveled. "Tina, you're alive?" expressed Patrick's surprise. "Yes, my body is still in the hospital," Tina smiled sadly. "You may find everything strange, but just accept that reality is a complex and multi-layered thing, and some special people can control it, creating their own reality at will. But there is a heavy price to pay for that. My mother is a powerful sorceress, but she had to pay for this revenge with all her life force. That's why she hates you. I tried to stop her, to explain that it wasn't your fault. I just didn't realize I was standing too close to the cliff, and I fell. But she wouldn't listen. Patrick, I've always loved you, but I don't want to hurt you. I want you to be happy. I won't let you die. I'll stay with this candle. Because of my love for you, I remain innocent. But you will die anyway. That's what my mother says," Karen warned her. "But I am dying anyway. I'm holding on to life with my last strength to save you. Hurry up." She pushed everyone toward the exit and suddenly turned to Patrick. He turned and exclaimed, "You have a wonderful daughter. Too bad it's not mine." Karen smiled sadly and pulled herself together. "Run before the candle goes out or we'll all be gone," she shouted, grabbing Eleanor by the arm and pushing her outside. Patrick looked at Tina for a moment longer and then turned and walked away determinedly. They ran down the road, Eleanor looking back and Tina standing at the door, holding the candle in her hand. Suddenly, a mist enveloped them. After a while, the police came. They told them that Patrick and Eleanor had gone to visit distant relatives in the village. They found it hard to believe, but they accepted this version. Life returned to normal again. The fear began to be forgotten. But one day they gathered their courage and went to the village where Patrick grew up. There they found an old cemetery where 2 graves showed fresh footprints. Aunt Teresa and Tina. Both had indeed died on the same day Patrick, Karen, and Eleanor returned home. Patrick and Karen stood silently at Tina's grave, not fully believing what had happened. As they were about to leave, Eleanor returned, pulled a small chocolate bar out of her pocket and placed it on the mound. "Thank you, Tina," she whispered. Then they left, not noticing that a gust of wind had blown the chocolate bar off the grave of the beautiful girl Tina.